Oh, no. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, mercy, 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 mercy. Okay. Good afternoon, class. How's everybody doing? See some folks still trying to get connected. I apologize for my my video showing up sort of sideways. I have another camera, but I know exactly why it happened. I'm not able to transmit on that camera. I had a bit of an electrical issue this morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Can somebody say yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great, great, great. All right. And I am going to by the way, I'm going to be tape recording, and so anything you say or think, I have rights to. Okay. Let me share the screen and. All right, can everybody see the technical communication chapters 3 and 4 slide?
I can see it.
Excellent.
Me too.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Everybody safe and warm and good today? Okay, those who aren't, I hope you're warm and dry and all those good things. I went out to plow my driveway. I got a pretty long driveway out in the middle of nowhere, and my plow would not start, my snowblower, and I'm pulling and I'm pulling and pulling, and finally I look over, and there's I didn't realize this, but there's an electrical assist start on my plow. So I just plugged it into extension cord and whatever right into the wall, and I plowed. I turned on, and life was good. But I didn't realize that I tripped the ground fault indicator and one of the major breakers in my house, so that when I got back, I couldn't close the garage door. You know, wasn't like one room was out. It was like sprinkled. But more to the point, this was right after I had posted the the coordinates for the meeting today, and this was not a happy time. So all that said, and we're ground fault indicators. If you have any idea about electronics, electrical in residential or commercial facilities, they're a safety device, and government never found a safety device that they didn't over mandate the use of. And so these ground fault indicators, they end up being hard to diagnose and even harder to fix. So it took us, my wife and I, about an hour to get it all fixed. But meanwhile, all the machines had gone down. And so my camera settings, I probably lost them on my regular Logitech. So hopefully we'll have a better go of it next time. All right. Just to get a sense of who is here. Let's see. Let's take the roll. Okay. All right. So, Blaine, are you here? Blaine Hecker.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All righty. You got to get that microphone. Riley.
I'm here.
Okay. Good. Zachary Mitchell. Going. Okay. By the way, tomorrow is drop day. Not that I want anyone to drop, but I don't know if it was Socrates or Kenny Rogers who said you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. All right. So anyway, just if you plan to go that way, Godspeed, best wishes to you. All right, Isaiah.
Here.
Okay. Isaiah, do you know the difference between first Isaiah and second Isaiah?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe you'll find that out someday. Abby Murray.
Here.
Dear Abby. Okay. Lauren.
Here.
Okay, great. Austin.
Here.
Okay, good to have you aboard. Brennan Romero. Is your microphone not working? Brennan. Yeah, okay, great. All right. And any chance that Scott's here today? I think he's still up in Aurora. And Maxim. Okay. And Andrew.
Here.
All righty. Okay. Well, good. And I know, face-to-face learning is so much better and whatever, but every now and then, having a class where you don't have to get in the car and go through all this stuff isn't bad. So what I want to do is do a little bit of logistics, let you know that a couple of things have dropped in terms of assignments, and then finish up chapter 3 and go through chapter 4. You will finish chapter 4 just in time to be ready to take, probably not just in time, but helping you to take the reading test for part 1, which is chapters 1 through 4 of the technical communication book. All right, so here we go. I like to pass along little things, just little tidbits that you can impress people at parties about, or when you're being interviewed for a job. Alexandre Dumas is a French writer whose popularity has only grown in the last 30 or 40 years with movies like The Count of Monte Cristo, The Man in the Iron Mask, The Three Musketeers, all being made, books that he wrote, all being made into movies. But they've been adapted to film. His career includes more than 300 published titles. And you think it's hard to post a comment, right? This dude wrote. They're, shortened versions, et cetera, et cetera. But he wrote 50 pages a day. Okay, now keep in mind, we're not talking about, Microsoft Word. We're further than cuneiform, but we're talking about manuscript paper and an ink pen. All his professional life, he wrote at least 50 pages a day. In fact, on one day, he wrote on page 49, he finished a really good book called The Four Guardsmen. And he drew a line under the end of it and then wrote the title, The Count of Monte Cristo, and wrote the first page, and then ended his work for the day. That's hardcore. I mean, I'm just like, wow. You figure I'm on page 49. I finished this, this book. I'm good. I'm good. It was a good day. Let's get a glass of wine and some cheese and relax. Not Alexander. So anyway, if you want to be a good writer, the moral of the story is to write a lot and to read a lot. And Alexander Dumas's life is exemplary in that area. Okay, week 3 updates. Make sure for the reading quiz, you've read through and understand chapters 1 through 4. There's a review page at the end of each chapter, and I think you will find it helpful. If you don't understand those concepts, you probably need to look at things again. Posted today, it's visible in the D2L container. It is due on the 7th of February, which is next Monday at midnight, okay? Make sure you have the Adobe Acrobat. You have to buy the full version, but just download Acrobat because you're going to be filling out an Acrobat form. I really wish in this technical writing class, we would use technical writing software like, some of the Adobe Cloud stuff like Acrobat and FrameMaker and, things like that. But anyway, that's my fight, not yours. But when you interview for a technical writing job in this town, they're going to say, what software do you know? And if you only can say Microsoft Word, it might help you. Oh, here is Zachary. Okay. Let me go back here. Zachary, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Good to have you on board. All
Thank
right.
you.
But anyway, I lament that we can't get enough copies, registered copies of Adobe Acrobat or some of the other Adobe, professional technical tools to play with, because that would really help you. There's a lot of cool things you can do with Acrobat. I'll show you at some point. So make sure, you know, the file has one name and it's posted in the D2L container, you know, something like, you know, reading test 1, you know, and what I need you to do is to rename it. There's instructions on the test. Rename it with your last name and test, you know, test 1. Okay. Save that to your local disk, your desktop, whatever, because, you know, given the vagaries of internet, sometimes you don't want to lose this halfway and have to start all over. And then there's an integrity pledge that says you neither gave nor solicited help from anyone else taking this exam, and that's your honor, which yeah, when you die and they put you in a box or burn you up, or whatever your funerary customs in your family or tribe or nation or religion are, about the only thing you take with you is your honor. So keep that in mind. All right, this is not a hard test, but it is a precise test. And the only way I can explain that is by your taking it. You need to read closely and carefully, okay? Here's the upcoming schedule. We've done the writing diagnostic. The W1 technical draft is due on February 9th, which is next week, next Wednesday at midnight. Everything is due at midnight. And then, of course, I'll grade those, we'll proof them, and then on the 14th, you know, that's Valentine's Day. That is so romantic that we will fix our drafts. You know, if you ever had a love letter and somebody graded it, marked it up, then you know what an a-hole Professor Bauer is, because I actually did that. And yeah, I don't think that relationship made it very far. But you gotta, you know, if you're gonna write a love letter, get some grammar, all right, for Pete's sake. So anyway, and the final, after we correct those in class, will be due the 16th, which is that next Wednesday. So there's a kind of a sequence to this. And meanwhile, in class, we'll go into part 2 and, you know, start with chapter 5, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a, you know, there's a sequencing. You have a writing assignment, you make the draft, you get the corrections, you make the corrections, you submit the final. You're doing 1 of 4 discussions, you're doing 1 of 4 reading tests, and get a feel of things. And as long as you stay up, you're in great shape in that respect. So here's what the reading test looks like. It is an Adobe form, and you know, you put your name and class and date, and then you have these different questions, and you put, by the way, don't put T or F for true or false, put A or B. Okay, always use the letters and not true or whatever. Rename the file to, you know, if you're Professor Bauer, it's Bauer _ part 1 reading test. Okay, not too hard, but if somehow something gets separated from your D2L folder, it's something I can find and understand, etc. The great thing about a take-home test is the answers are there. Okay, so all you have to do is find them. And again, no help from other classmates. And no help to other classmates. And so you sign and affirm that at the end. Little thing at the end saying, I hereby affirm I've neither given nor received any outside help during the completion of this exam. And you just type your student name, which counts as a signature, okay? And if you do that correctly, you can make it at the United States Military Academy at West Point or Annapolis or Air Force Academy, because that's what each of them do for their term paper assignments. Okay. And UVA, a couple of other schools. Some people think it's quaint, but I think it still counts. Okay, questions on the reading quiz? One, two, three. Normally, free advice is worth the price you paid for it. Somebody says, let me give you some free advice. Says, no, I really don't. I'd rather pay for something that's better. But it is a good day, this snowy day, to stay home and read technical communication. I mean, I can't think of anything more exciting. Probably the only thing more exciting than that is correcting your draft together on Valentine's Day on the 14th. That's you know, you can't spell romance without that kind of work. So anyway, stay up on your work and we'll be fine. Okay. Chapter 3, I just want to, you know, hit a couple of slides, and this is the big point. There is a process in writing, and if you're a fan of the Philadelphia 76ers, you know their motto is trust the process. In other words, there is a way to success, and you can't shortcut it or any of those sorts of things. So chapter 3 is a good chapter to return to again and again. There is no one process, you know, I mean, the chapter 3 talks about one, but if you have one that works for you, you know, I like to get everything out on the, you know, on the kitchen table, get a cup of coffee, lay it all out, make an outline, and this is what, you know, fine. But figure out what works for you. I write best in the morning. Oh, I got to be at 2 in the morning. But you know what? When you wake up at 10 the next morning, make sure what you're looking at is English, okay? Sometimes you get kind of sloppy when you get tired. So whatever works for you. If you're a night person, you like to get up early, whatever. There is, at the end of chapter 3, a writer's checklist. And you should know that Professor B loves this checklist, okay? So I want you to get a good grade, but I want you to learn how to write. I want you to get a style and a process and a sets of habits, because you're going to be writing and communicating unless you become a monk somewhere in a cave for the right. And then you'll be a scribe. Then you'll be copying manuscripts, right? So, but anyway, it's just part of our world as knowledge workers. And even if we're not a knowledge worker, the amount of communication you have to do, even as a electrician or you know, someone in the trades or, you know, whatever, it's important to communicate. Planning, drafting, revising, editing, proofreading. Okay, and as we talked about before, those steps aren't linear. So even when you think you're almost done proofreading, you get an idea that would improve the document. Oh my goodness, that's it. Or you have an interview with a subject matter expert, a SME, that absolutely turns things, you know, in a great way so that you can do a better job. So trust that process. All right, we talked about templates here, and here's the link. I forgot to include the link on the slide. By the way, I posted this to the this update to the D2L, and you know, it's an okay template. You know, got your name and the title and your objectives, and you know, someone just out of college. This isn't bad. Someone looking for an internship, not bad. On the other hand, there are other templates. Okay. Now you have this, you know, knockout Latin. Lorem ipsum is what it's called. It's just fake text. That's why it's got all these error messages on it, but gives you a sense of how this would look with real words in it, et cetera, et cetera. Discussion. What do you guys like about this? Is a 2-page resume. Okay, Richard Blacksmith, his cute, humble, funny face there. You know, and then more information on the back. What works on this? What works on this resume for you? This is where you turn the microphone on and discuss.
I think it's more personable and attractive looking than the other one, not as boring.
Except, yeah, excellent. It pops. If you're a writer, if you're a tech person, like this person is, he is. He knows programming languages like Python and scripting languages like PHP, and you know, he does data analysis through structured query language SQL, R, which is a relational analysis, Monte Carlo simulations, which is variances and odds, decision tree and analytics, etc. All kinds of other database programs. Mongo is an open source database. Cassandra, MySQL is another. There's Microsoft SQL, structured query language, but then there's MySQL, which is a open source structured query language. All the other things that this guy does in what's called the engineering stacks. A lot of people are talking about different kinds of stacks of software. And so not too long in his career, started in 2000, in terms of his work experience in 2013, and made it up through 2016. And this is the way the world is. You don't go to work for one job anymore. You go, you learn what you can learn, and then you say, well, it's up or over. And so the idea that you're going to work for one company for 20 or 30 years, your grandparents may have, and your parents may have, but those days are really gone. Your employer doesn't owe you squat, and people are finding out you don't owe them a whole lot more. So now some people don't want to go with something as flashy as this. I don't happen to think it's that flashy. I think the organization of the information is really good. It's who's the guy, what's his contact information, address, all that stuff is on the left column there. And you don't have to give your office building or anything like that. Nice little summary. And UC Berkeley, MIT, Sloan MBA. I mean, it's not, Sloan School is like the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. The Sloan School is at MIT. So good, good education, good experiences, and go. Anything else that pops?
On his documents, I like how he puts his information in multiple spots where people would actually look for it. So his email, his phone number are in multiple spots.
Yeah, the bottom, the bottom footer on the second page, got his name and then his email, and boom, boom, boom. By the way, there is a company called UExec, YOUEXEC.com. They have free templates, and if you pay like $100 a year, you get all their templates, and they have thousands and thousands of them. You may not need it. I'm going to post these templates in D2L. So just because we're celebrating the snow holiday, it's from me to you. Even the simple one up in the top right, good, good layout. This is something that is just his job experience. And as people say, I want a one pager. Your education is important at the beginning of your career. It's less so at the end. People just want to know where you've been and what you've done. But it's people say that you still have to put your resume on one page, and that's not true. The more you have relevant experience. Look at this guy. I mean, he's less than a year, less than 10 years working. And you know, he finished his MBA in 2013, and he started his bachelor's at 2001. And here it is, you know, so it's less than, you know, it's 15 years, and he's on 2 pages. So don't let anybody tell you what perfect is. They run all the stuff through machines with algorithms that search for key terms and things like that. So all the software, all the names, all those things are really important, because that's what the algorithms are looking for. All right, so you can always modify a template. And so this is Microsoft Word. We had this guy right here, which is a Word template, and you just go to File, Available Templates, and find that one. It'll, you know, you can load it to your desktop or your documents page or whatever, and then you can, you know, create a new document based on that sample template. All right, and you can call it resume. I always use it resume, what is the job and what is the date? You know, so resume, data architect, you know, 2022. And then, you know, if you look for another job the next year and you've had some more relevant experience, you update it and you go like that. Rather than having a big sack of different resumes, I try to put them in folders based on, you know, if you have skills in different places where you're going to go there. So you can modify that template. That way you have a modified cover letter, which some people still believe in. As I think, I don't know, some people say you have to turn in a cover letter to complete your application. And all the cover letter is some, you know, I'm interested. I think you'll find my resume focuses on this, this, and this, maybe some unique fact, you know, and looking forward to continuing the conversation to see if there's a mutual fit. In other words, I don't need a job where you're not going to fit with my expectations, and you don't need to hire me if I'm not going to fit with yours. And the more you can help think like your hiring manager, the better chance you are of getting a good look. All right, you can change the styles that all your font's going to be Arial or Times Roman or whatever. And, you know, just this is all in Word using the styles group. All right, so we mentioned this right as we were leaving yesterday. As you look at a draft, does this meet the reader's expectations? Number one. And that's, you know, does this meet the assignment? Your assignment will have different deliverables. I have to have an image. It has to have a caption. I have to, now later on, I need 3 references. I need 2 from the, you know, the PPCC library. I need 1 from the internet, etc. So does it meet the teacher's expectations? Did I leave anything out? Is the organization of my information logical? And that will be something like a thesis statement, plan steps on, you know, what you're going to do, and then good paragraphs that fill out that skeleton, and then, you know, your conclusion, which is a restatement of your thesis and any other sort of closing information. So that's a well-developed organization. And are the arguments well-developed as well? So that's another set of questions. Is the emphasis appropriate? Am I only talking about one thing and I need to look at 3 or 4 others? Is it honest? Am I selling used car stuff here, or, you know, does it adhere to appropriate legal standards? I think we should have, you know, more art history classes at PPCC. Okay. All right, great. I'm glad you think that. What is the reason for this? And if it doesn't result in people getting hired, you're not going to get past the secretary. in terms of discussing it. You got to come with economic data that says technical writing in the Colorado Springs area is in high demand and will be even higher, as 3/5 of the workforce, remember this, 3/5 of the workforce right now are old farts. They used to be called baby boomers. Listen, they've boomed. They've busted. They're gone. All right. And don't hit your ass on the way out. Right. That's what we say. But 10,000 of them retire every day. 3/5 of the workforce. Who is going to step in, take their jobs, and do a better job? That's you. Okay. So don't be bashful, especially with the defense and government related jobs, as well as growing software and business climate here in Colorado Springs. I mean, you may want to work somewhere else, but if you don't, these are, if you're talking about how Colorado PPCC should structure new classes, then you're going to have to bring up the workforce. What are the workforce demands? So is it honest? Does your data really support that? Okay. And, does the, you didn't cheat, you didn't steal it, et cetera. Does the document come across reliable and helpful? So these are 7 good questions to ask. They're not the only ones. Is it in the, is it in the size? Is it too much? Is it too little, et cetera? There's a lot of other things in terms of the assignment. So keep all that in mind. All right. Ask for help. Sometimes if you can find a SME, tell me about this, or if you have people who are going to be using the document, someone in your office, hey, take a look at this. You think this is going to help users of our software, or walk through this particular process that we help people do in setting up a database, or whatever our how to buy a home, and or how to sell a home, and all those sorts of things if we're in real estate or something like that. All right. Editing is checking the draft to improve grammar, punctuation, style, diction, which is also called word choice, and then things like mechanics. If you say 3045, then you use the numbers 3,045. If you say 10 people, you may spell the word 10 out. Just depends on the style of the organization or the MLA. So those are the what we call mechanics. As you edit your draft, are the paragraphs well developed? Are the sentences clear and correct? Are the elements presented consistently? Is the design effective? Are the graphics appropriate? Okay, and those are just standard kinds of questions, especially if you have graphics in them. Proofing is to check and make sure you've typed what you meant to type. Okay. Editing is different than proofreading. Okay. Editing is, logical construction and all this stuff. Proofreading is, instead of spelling, there it is, THERE, you spell THEIR, the possessive of they. And so that's not right. So catching those before your readers do, or before your teacher does, is important. All right. So there are some tricks. There are strange ways of talking. There are some tricks for proofreading. What are your favorite tricks when you proofread, say you proofread your own work?
A couple of times I'll record myself reading it and then play it back and listen to it to see if what I said is actually what I meant to say.
That's a great, who's that?
I'm Brennan.
Oh, hey, Brendan. I'm not looking at the screen. I got like 3 monitors here. Sorry. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think reading your document out loud is a good idea, and to listen to it is even better. So you get a sense of something that went wrong or something like that. So That's good. Any other ideas? That's a great one. Thank you, Brennan. What else? Some of you are still considering the concept of proofreading a document. You haven't accepted that yet. Well, let me encourage you to do so immediately. But there are tips and tricks, things to basically to fool yourself into considering this paper as someone else's. What happens is you've written this 3 or 4 times, you've edited it, you've copied it, you know what you're trying to say. Problem is your paper may not reflect that. And so I think one of the best ones is say goodnight. You know, the worst thing you can do is finish a paper at 10 o'clock and send it. I mean, if it's due at 10:30, that's all you can do. But if it's due the next day, then save it and just go to bed, wake up, take a run, cup of coffee, shower, whatever, and then print it out. Sometimes looking at a screen, you don't see things. When you print it out or you read it out loud, or like Brennan said, those are things that help you to get a little separation between what you've written and the final version of it. And that's one of the tricks that I try to do. I sat this morning, I wrote a book, I think I told you guys this a couple of months ago, on the management of critical infrastructure, things like power plants and water systems and big, stadium facilities and electrical and highways and pipelines and things like that. And it's funny, I got it approved. I'm turning it into e-learning, making an e-learning class using a product called Adobe Captivate, which is a cool product. I'll show you how that works. And I'm sitting with my editor this morning. We've been doing this for like a month, reading through together the e-learning. And, it's like, we did one of the later chapters, and I could tell that I was tired because there are really stupid mistakes all over it. And, my editor said, "What's going on, Rick? Are you drinking again?" And I said, no, just tired, hit save and didn't review it in the morning. And I got to catch it anyway, but it's embarrassing sometimes when I got paid for it once, and now I'm getting paid by the hour to fix it. So maybe I'm being smart because I'm getting a lot of hours fixing my own work. But anyway, anything else on proofing? 1, 2, 3. All right, Professor Bauer's gonna have to tell a long story. Oh God, no. I had a job when we had just had our first child. I was working during the day, and it was not much. And so I took a second job being a proofreader for a magazine called Tax Notes. And they still publish even today. This was in the 1980s, and not the 1880s, but the 1980s. And it was tax court opinions on lawsuits and IRS rulings, some of the most boring, tedious crap you have ever read through. All legal stuff, but to proofread it, had to make sure that these were real sentences, they had the right words, they had and it was, sometimes I read it backwards. I would do one sentence at a time, walking backwards through it just so I didn't miss something. And it was a night job. So I go to work at like 6 at night until, 1 or 2. And man, about 12:30, you were reaching for the coffee. So anyway, whatever works, you got to proofread. If your significant other is a good proofreader, then I would invest in that relationship. Okay, whatever you have to do, candy, back rubs, robbing liquor stores, whatever you need to do to please that person so that he or she can proofread your paper, do it. Just being a different human looking at it is half the trick, and trying to figure out how to fool yourself into seeing it for the first time. All right, so let's look at writing collaboratively in the last part of our time together today. Everybody doing okay? I appreciate you not having your microphones on when you're snoring. So, as long as, I don't require the camera. Every now and then, if we had presentations, I would require you to do that. I'm aware that that gives you some freedom, to do whatever you want to do. But I just, I don't like webcams. I know I have to do that, but I'd rather share a screen and walk through that. In most technical communities that I've been in, you rarely see someone do walk through and hi there, I'm Rick, you can call me boss, and if you don't, no, it's just not all that fun. So anyway, just try to wake up, and when I do ask for comments, which is not all that much, try to wake up and say something. All right. The chapter is writing collaboratively, and I think I told you this before. Rarely do you sit in a room and write something. I mean, I finished a book in 2021, started in February and finished it in August, and but then it went to subject matter experts, engineers, people who manage facilities, and people in the Department of Homeland Security, and in the DoD, and folks who work in the European Commission, and et cetera, for comment and say, I like this, I need more of this, so I think this is wrong, or there's a new version of that, make sure et cetera. Most of the time you'll write something, but look at our little target diagram here, our bullseye chart. You have a team of people you're working with, and Sid, Larry, Paula, Randy, Ahmed, et cetera. And then other groups or people in your organization, and then others outside. It could be other engineers if you're writing a white paper on some technical thing. It could be other designers if you're talking about some new clothing or new design pattern or something like that. Or car enthusiasts, whatever you're writing about. The idea that you're sitting in a cave and you'll never interact with people, those days are gone. Given social media, which is probably the biggest thing, everything is done, it would seem, out front and collaboratively. The tools are there. They're relatively easy to use to make corrections on a page, and then to have people look at those corrections and say, yeah, well, let's make that one, or no, this is what I was trying to say, and et cetera, and to have a document conversation that grows from the interactions with you and your mates. All right, so collaboration. This is a survey by Cisco. They said 75% of those surveyed that collaboration is critical to their success on the job. Even working from home, people say, yeah, I work from home, but I'm on a conference call, 20 hours a week. And that's the way it works, okay? And you always need to work with people who are smarter in certain things than you are. No one can be an expert on everything. And so, try to figure out what you're good at, leverage those skills, bring in other people who have skills where you're not strong. Yeah, you may hear some teachers say, you got to work on your weaknesses, and somebody who I was never a mile runner and I weighed 600 pounds, and And then one day I set the world record in the mile and I'm an Olympic athlete. Yeah, really? How many times does that happen? Like zero. You work on your strengths. Okay, this may seem like a radical concept, but you work on what you're good at. Hopefully you get a job doing what you're good at, and you staff to your weaknesses. If you're bad with numbers but good on concepts and imaginative stuff, make sure someone on your team can keep track of the spend, can work the spreadsheets, can make sure that you're working to the budget, the time, and et cetera. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, collaboration. The more you collaborate, the better sense of how the audience is going to understand the document. If your team can't understand what you're writing, then you really need to listen to that, because you're probably not writing very clearly. Okay, the more you collaborate, the better people own the ideas. It improves communication because you've got a group of people who own this. And sometimes it's great to bring people on board into your organization by doing a collaborative project. You may not be the lead, document manager as a rookie, unless you come into the job and you've got other experiences. But it's a way of finding out who's good, who makes promises that they keep, who makes promises that they don't keep, because you don't want to trust those people, especially the day before a deadline. All of a sudden their grandmother died, and they had to go to the funeral. And then 5 years later, you figure it out that they've had like 14 grandparents, who've died. Okay, something's wrong here, and I can't trust this person. So it's a fact of life. How you collaborate is how a lot of people will judge. I mean, there's some individual stars. There are a couple of hot shots on teams. Some people whose talent is so clear that people work around them. But in the long run, being able to work with others, I mean, what do they grade that in kindergarten, right? Works well and plays with others. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. Collaboration can be a real pain in the butt. Okay, so it's great, it's good, it's happy, and we're Cisco and use our web conferencing stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But it takes more time. Okay, you have more meetings. You got to talk through things. Everything is up for discussion, and sometimes you're dealing in a global context. I had 3 centers of companies that I worked with. Asia Pac, and that was Korea, PRC, the People's Republic of China, Japan, Singapore, and some Aussie sometimes. Okay, so those were where those tech companies were. And then there was, EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then there was North America and LATAM, South America and Central America. So, and usually 20 to 30 companies in each zone. Sometimes you can get a meeting, end of the day in Europe, first thing in North America or Western Hemisphere, and get that done in one meeting. But you never get, you never get Asia Pac in there. And sometimes you get Asia Pac in Europe. And so a lot of times the collaboration is, in multiple meetings. Then you got to merge everything. Say, okay, this is the new version of this. Let's take a look at it. Sometimes, everyone's working in, simplified Chinese, or the draft. You got one draft coming in Spanish or Portuguese or something like that if you're working with São Paulo. So it's just more painful. Another problem is groupthink. Everyone thinking the same thing. You end up not seeing other things. It promotes conformity. In other words, God, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to slow anything down. It's probably going to make money. Really? But yeah, something in the back of your mind says, no, people don't need this, and have we Have we proven this market? Have we proven this product? Do we know what we're doing? When people get in the same mode and no one questions, sometimes you can think that some people who raise their hand and say, I don't know, are just being a jerk. And that may be the case sometimes. And you just say, George, don't be a jerk. Okay, this is clear. We've done, et cetera. But sometimes you need some people who raise their hand and say, I don't know. We sure we're going this direction? Okay. When you collaborate, you can often say, okay, look, Joe, you handle the intro. Susie, I want you to do the first argument, the second argument and the thesis. Bob, I want you to write that. And Jamie, take care of the third. And Ed, why don't you do the closer? And it looks like 5 people wrote the document. The voice, the vocabulary, the flow. It could be choppy or disjointed. Everyone knows what freeloading is. You have a project and a team, and you've got some good people, and so you just say, I don't have to work on this. I got other things to do, or I'd rather play video games during the meeting or something like that. That you've got to make sure, if you're leading a group, you got to make sure that everyone's working and they are accountable for their work. Okay. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes the project lead doesn't have any power over you. Right? You work in research, someone else works in marketing, and the project lead is on the technical side of things. The technical lead can't fire you. Right? You work in marketing, you work in research. And so if you're the technical person, you got to figure out a way to get power and use it in that project. Now, there are ways to do this. Okay. We'll talk about some of them. Okay. And reduce, sometimes it will reduce a person's motivation. Somebody who works real hard all weekend on a draft, and then that next Monday morning, the project manager just rips him or her. I mean, and really in ways that aren't real helpful, just being a jerk. Joe, I could tell that you were drunk when you wrote this. People can be really mean. And they just say, okay, well then the hell with you, pal. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to go to the meetings, and I'm going to nod. But you just got rid of me because you've cut me off. So remember the motto: praise in public, correct in private. Take weak resources. You got rookies on this team. Pair them with stronger ones so that they work on something together. Okay. Collaboration can lead to conflict. People disagree, and they disagree at the worst possible time. And so, people get their feelings hurt. They worked really hard on something, and they feel like not only is it somebody saying that you're not a good writer, they're saying it in a way that's rude. Let me tell you about technical people, folks. They have the worst people skills in the universe. They would never say this to your face, but when they're on a conference call, they don't mind talking about you. It's just kind of, they don't have the social skills. That's why people put them in cubes. All right. They don't want them in front of customers. So, there are good things about collaboration, but let's not kid ourselves. There are challenges there as well. All right. Here's where, if you're running a project, you get the last word. This is a team member eval card. All right. At the end of the project, everyone rates you and everyone rates your team members. And guess who gets this copy? Your boss. So if you're from marketing in a group, a multi-team project, guess what? The boss, your boss, the director of marketing or VP or whatever it is, he or she will get this eval. You get the last word. Okay. I start out all my project, I've led projects of, 800 plus people across the, across the planet on stuff. And I said, look, at the end of this, I'm going to write this up. And for those of you who do well, your management's going to know that. For those of you who don't, they're going to know that too. For those of you who did not do anything, they're going to know that too. And that just kind of lets everyone know, okay, I'm being scored. And, you got to have a way to get accountability. Trust everybody, somebody said, but cut the cards. Okay. In other words, there's going to be a reckoning of you're either using your time wisely to help us, or you're wasting our time and hurting this project by not caring. You got paid to not help. And so you get 2 or 3 of those, and that's going to figure in your next report, your next evaluation, or your tenure in that company. All right. Good guidelines. This is right from the book, so I won't spend too much time in it because we're running out of it. You got a big project, chunk it, which is another way of saying break it into smaller tasks. Have a plan. Remember what Professor B says, bad news doesn't improve with age. If you have 6 weeks to write something and it's big, how do you write that in 5 weeks and have a week to edit and allow for some slack or somebody getting sick or something like that? Keep a schedule. If you don't keep a schedule, other people won't care. Once you have decisions, put them in writing. The end of the meeting where you decide you're going to assign Ted and Mary to lead this research part, write that out so that the progress report that goes to the suits and to everyone on the team understand, and Ted and Mary understand that's what they got to do. Monitor. This is where you use scheduling software, or even a Excel spreadsheet, or Microsoft Project. There's a lot of web-based software that does project management. So much of work in a knowledge economy is projects. So let me just tell you that if you want to do something in technical writing, take a class in project management. Not to learn all the software and stuff, but to learn how to manage a project. So you can help a manager when you join a project, and sooner or later, once you do these well, you'll be asked to lead. And that's where there's some pretty good money. Be flexible, but don't be a chump. People need to keep their deadlines and take you seriously. So these are just good project management guidelines. Online listening skills, listen to the speaker, main ideas. Don't, disagree with a bad spirit or anything like that. Try to keep things appropriate. People can't see your eyes when you're talking, especially with the cameras off. Make sure, and by the way, don't, leave your mute button on when other people are speaking. All that good stuff. Zoom is not bad. I use a program in the bottom left corner called Slack, and here's my working with this GCX MCGA, certified mission critical professional e-learning book and course that I wrote, and so I'm interacting with the VP, Cindy Arkin. So Brian Cainrath is the CEO. This is just a channel that we've been working on. There are other really good tools. There's a company called Calendly, 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 and it makes really good calendars. So you can share your calendars, and people do that with Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook, whatever. But sometimes when you have a team that is of multiple companies, volunteers working on a project or whatever, you got to find a web alternative that doesn't have to be hooked into your corporate email or things like that. And then good headphones, I love the Jabras. I mean, some people like others, but I've had this one Jabra set for a long time, and it just works really well. So, you know, diplomacy and communications is really important. You know, my plan's a sure thing. There's no way we're going to not kill Allied. I guess that's the competitor. As opposed to, I think this plan's got a good chance of success. We're playing off our strengths. It looks like Allied's got some weaknesses here. I think we can do well. Okay. Critique in online. Keep in mind that online chats can be very vague and not specific. So make sure that when you're proofing something, or that you don't say, "What the hell are you saying?" You know, or "What? You know, what does this mean?" That's a better way of asking the question, clear and calm. There are reviewing tools in Microsoft Word, in Google Docs, and in Adobe Acrobat. Those are the three main writing documents that people do. And it probably, you know, in order of popularity, it's Word and Google Docs and Acrobat. And so, you know, in Word, you say track changes. And so then when people make a comment, it stays in there, or they have a correction. And if you look on the right hand side at the bottom of the image, it says accept this change. In other words, somebody said spell it this way, and they have the corrected spelling. Just say, yeah, that's right. Okay, move on. Those sorts of things. So these are the ways that people send, you know, documents around. Google makes it easier because it's a shared document. So when you make changes, they're shown and people can either accept it or not. Word, it takes a little bit longer. Acrobat is more technical, but I think it allows you to make quicker changes. So just be aware that those tools work. We're not going to do anything per se in these things, but this is how documents are often, you know, moved around in an organization. Culture and collaborations, just keep it professional. This is just good advice about social media. Don't waste your company time using social media for non-business purposes. You may think you're getting away with it, but a lot of IT systems will know what you're saying. So racist, sexist comments, private information about the company or anybody else, you know, whatever, you know, be aware of gender issues, be aware of the fact that we live in a diverse culture and a diverse set of people. And so I joke around about how I hate everybody, but you can't, you really can't. You got to find out that there's a spark of the divine in even the most odious people. And sometimes it's the biggest challenge to find something that you can do with somebody to keep them from, you know, sabotaging your work. And, you know, it's a challenge, but sometimes that's what the hand that we're dealt. All right, that's it for chapter 4. Any questions on this? Anything on what we've learned today? Is everyone sleeping?
None that I could think of.
Okay, good.
Yeah, none here.
As long as someone answers, then I know at least somebody, you know, and what you do before the conference is say like, okay, who's going to have to stay awake? Okay, great. You know, give this guy a cup of coffee and stay awake. Okay, so I mean, the big picture here is rarely do people create, even creative types, all by themselves. There's editing and administrating and marketing and messaging, and everybody's massaging this. Get some thick skin, you know, learn to take critique. If you do it well, you'll learn and you won't make the same mistakes. You'll make new ones, but even those will get fixed on and improved. And so you will become a better writer for the experience. And sometimes it takes getting, your boss really trashing a memo that you were getting ready to send, and just listen to what he or she is saying. Unless they're a turd, and then you should go look for another job. Nobody should work for a turd. I'm sorry. Life's too short. And part of the great resignation of 2021 has been people saying, take this job and shove it. I don't care. I don't have to work with people who are as disagreeable to make a decent salary. Or I can make a decent salary and have a better working environment, or working from home, or, you have a lot more options than you think. And being a good writer means that you can work in a lot of different places. So, or, right here upstairs in your, in your home office. So whatever that can do, you can make really good money and have your own lifestyle and be able to go outside and shovel snow and freeze your hands off in the snow and blow fuses, and it's so exciting. So anyway, all right. Anything else? Last words. Okay, we can. I normally don't end till right at the hour, but I return 6 minutes of free liberty to you, and I trust that you will have good ways of using it. Any questions? Let me know. I will record. I will publish a link to a YouTube channel for this, and so we ever do this again, you'll be able to find them. But if you want to walk through the review, or I know some of the students who weren't here will use this to review as well. Have a great weekend, everybody. And if you have not started reading Technical Communication, jump on it, okay? It will really help your writing, and it will really help you on these take-home tests, okay? That's all I have. I will fix my camera so you're not getting my side view. It's really not my best side, but it's actually the other side's just as bad. All right, we'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.